All right. Okay. So we are all family here, and we want to welcome Tracy Humphrey in the room from last night, the 1999 tour roundtable.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, what we're gonna do. This is still Minty.com. It's a little bit of a different format. It's not the question and answer format. So every week at noon, since the beginning of the year, Michael Dean and I have joined with the What Did Prince Do This Week posse. And we normally do this on Facebook and YouTube and simultaneously. And so there's a lot of interaction with the audience. So I wanted to try to keep that as much as possible, but it was going to be hard to do with the people in the room. So I want to try this Minty in a different way. So the code for What Did Prince Do This Week for comments is going to be Minty.com, MENTI.com, 8444-7579, 8444-7579. Okay? Yes, bingo. All right, so now I'm going to transition to our deck, and we're going to see if this clicker works really far away.
Now, are you bringing a computer over here so we can see? Oh, Lord.
I have a laptop. I have the lingo. I'm losing my language. I have an iPad.
Okay.
So I'm trying to do.
Are we live right now to the people?
Live.
Before I get started, hello, Gracie. Daddy loves you. Hello, Auburn.
All right. See. Gotta get a little set up here. All right.
We are face to face doing this. Like, this is crazy. Where you want to sit?
In rectangles. So
Two different cities, two different coasts. Gotcha. Hold the mic like a hammer. Body slam.
So we haven't done this before, so give us a hot second.
And I'm going to do like everybody else, and I mean it like everybody else. A round of applause for D'Angelo hooking this up, man. What a blessing. Thank you. What's up to the chat? I know y'all acting a fool online. I know it. What y'all mad about? Can you guys hear us all right out there on chat? I know y'all can hear us here, right?
It doesn't matter. I'll just scroll all the way to where we. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hum, 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 hum. Let me stop before I play myself.
Okay, I'm almost there. Okay, here we go.
And the bender planes and
All right, let's see if we can make this started. Okay, so again, I need my mic. Yep.
There you go.
Gotta use my mic. And is it on? Here we go. Yes, I'm on. All right, so What Did Prince Do This Week? We do it every Saturday at noon, and then this is actually our schedule. We are reading the book, Prince and the Purple Rain Era Studio Sessions, 1983, 1984, the expanded edition, which has the blue on top. And why are we reading a book called Prince and the Purple Rain Era Studio Sessions at a 1999 symposium? Because the beginning of 1983 is all about the 1999 tour, and Duane covers the tour as well as the studio sessions. I kind of wish the name of the book was Prince and the Purple Rain Era Studio Sessions and the 1999 tour schedule, because 1999 is actually all over this. So that's the reason why. And I actually want to give a mad shout out to Edgar Krauser for recommending this. He was like, what you gonna do about What Did Prince Do This Week during the symposium? He was like, it covers 1999, because originally I wasn't even going to include this, and I was like, you know what, Edgar, that is brilliant. So thank Edgar, but I messed up with the Madhouse. We should have had our Madhouse 13 because this is our 13th week. And here we go. And then shout out to El DeBarra for one of my favorite gifts of all time. You know, once a week for a year, which is really once a week for 6 years. Okay, see you there.
Wait, what?
Yes, yes, yes.
6 years.
6 years.
What did he just say about the groups that are going to stay together?
Yeah, 6 years. We're stuck together. Yes. Or I'm going to have to get a new sidekick. All right, so the estate of Prince Rogers Nelson is not affiliated. You guys should know all that. We're going week to week, not date to date. This, again, is the schedule. It's bit.ly.princebookclub.com. You don't need the expanded edition, but that's what the schedule is based on. And there's archives of all of these, and this will eventually be archived at youtube.com/c/polishsolids. And I really wanted to include this tweet that I had talked about last week, but I didn't have the exact language from Dane Funk. And I love it. It says, "You don't have to tweet nor speak, do. Cats like Prince were good at that. Do." So I really wanted to make sure that I talked about that. So one thing that happens during the book club is that it's a continuous conversation. It's not discrete. And sometimes we make errors, and I try to correct those errors, or I realize that actually we need a little bit more information. It's like a real book club. And actually our audience participates. Sometimes they do companion Twitter threads to help us like flesh out some of the information. Like we didn't know who Vern Gagne was. So I was like, who the heck is Vern Gagne? And one of the members of the book club did a whole a Twitter thread on Vern Gagne, who turns out to be a Minneapolis wrestler. So we're learning a lot. So the reason why I'm showing this image is that we talked about this article that Barney Hoskins, and in fact, I talked about it at Jill Jones, the keynote last night. That same article was written by Barney Hoskins, who is a UK music journalist who actually went on tour with Prince and you know the whole nine yards. And he wrote an article for New Musical Express, also known as NME. But he also wrote a book on Prince, and it's called Prince, Imp of the Perverse. Now, the reason why I couldn't remember the name of this last week when we talked about it is I actually have the book. I've had it for a while. I've never read the book because I hate the title, because it felt like a diss to Prince. And like I wanted to, like I'm a consummate collector. I want all the books and everything. So I bought the book, but I couldn't bring myself to read it. But that particular Barney Hoskins article is actually one of my favorite articles ever written about Prince. Not because it's an amazing article. It's just that the 1999 period is when Prince really became almost like, he transformed in my life, like from Dirty Mind to Controversy. Controversy was like a real person, but when he became like 1999, he became something else. And Barney Hoskins really addresses that in that particular article. Now, I haven't listened to this yet, but I'm really looking forward to it. I just found this out last week when I was trying to find something on Barney, and he actually was recently on a podcast in 2021 on the Ham and High podcast. So I'm hoping that someone will maybe read it and not read it, but listen to it. And I'm going really fast because I know we're going to run out of time. We always run out of time. We're supposed to do this in an hour. We got to do it for an hour today, but we've been going like 2 hours the past 2 weeks because this is a really fruitful period of,
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you, and this is also something I did not know. So we also talked about Rock's Back Pages last week, but actually Barney is the editorial director of Rock's Back Pages, and I didn't even know that. So, and Rock's Back Pages also has its own podcast, which I did not know. So just by like, who is Barney Hoskins? Because people were like, who is Barney Hoskins? We haven't heard about it. So I had to do a little bit more. Like, I didn't know much. I knew Barney Hoskins was a music journalist, but I realized that I don't know so much. Now, I was going to go into our a tangent about Follow for Now and the ATL, but we're going to do that next week. I got a lot of information because I know some folks who are going to like, we're at a Prince Symposium and they talking about, Fall From Now in Atlanta. We're not here for that. So I was like, okay, we're not going to do that. But that's what we do. We also take like music breaks, like we kind of, take detours and
a little vibe going.
Well, yeah. Yeah. So last week, when we talked about the Norman, Oklahoma stop of the 1999 tour, I said I didn't have anything for it. And Edgar to the rescue, he was like, I got something for you. So here's a ticket. And I love this ticket because, you can see the outline of the Oklahoma State in the ticket. I think that's pretty brilliant as, a graphic designer. I was like, that's kind of cool.
What's that price?
Oh, yeah, the price.
$11.75.
Yes. $11.75. Yes. And so we already know we're in week 13. Okay, so what did Prince do in week 13 of 1983? He did 6 live shows. 6, you heard me, 6 live shows and 2 studio visits. All right, this is our calendar view. Now, what were those studio dates? So basically, we got Cloreen Bacon Skin.
Yeah. Woo!
And we got My Summertime Thang. We're going to talk about that. And then for those of you who are new to the calendar, if it's red and if I've done my job, red means that the tour sold out that particular night. So it sold out in Universal City, California on that Monday. Then on Tuesday, he was in San Diego. Then on Wednesday, he was in Phoenix. Then on Thursday, he was in Long Beach, California, and he went back into the studio. So not only did he do a tour date, he also went back in the studio. So that's where the 2 studio dates come from this week. Then on Friday, he's in Oakland, California. And then on Saturday, he is in Fresno, California. So this is what Prince did this week in 1983. So here's a map. It looks, it's okay. All right, that's what I have to say. It looks a little jacked up, but it's okay. So we've cribbed this image from princevault.com, which is, in my opinion, the Prince Bible. I almost look at princevault.com every single day. Yes, I do. And you can kind of see this is the second leg of the 1999 tour because there was a different leg in the end of 1982. And so you can see that we have traversed from the East Coast all the way over to the West Coast. And you can kind of see where he navigated to. And I always love showing this, like old school analog. Again, I'm an analog girl in a digital world, and seeing like just the binder and all of that. And just actually, another reason why I like showing this is I love seeing the no-show. But then when you have a no-show, he's usually doing something else. So, I mean, I think that's pretty cool. So the tracking for Cloreen Bacon Skin and My Summertime Thing was basic tracking and overdubs, was at Sunset Sound, again on Sunday, March 27th, 1983. And I wanted to talk a little bit, well, I think let's do some reading, Michael Dean. I think it's time for some reading. No, I'm not going to try because we'll run out of time, but I just want to talk about it. So let's go to our, for those of you out there and you have your books, because you're supposed to be having our books, we've got to find our page. Yeah, it's like that. We be serious. Let's start off with page 49, Michael Dean.
All right, Sunday, March 27th, 1983. Cloreen Bacon Skin, basic tracking and overdubs. My Summertime Thing, which is my jam. Basic tracking and overdubs, Sunset Sound Studio 2, 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. Booked from 4 p.m. to opening. Says producer was Morris Day. Prince was crossed out. His name was crossed out. Isn't it kind of funny that even just on the studio track, sheet that ain't going nowhere but to the studio, to the record company and just in the studio, that he makes a point to, I'm gonna cross my name out. just sort of keeping up the mythology of it all, There you go. For sure. Yep. Artist, the time, Prince crossed out again. Engineer, Prince crossed out again. Assistant engineer, the great Peggy McMurray. There's a quote from Prince. There is a track called Bacon Skin that thumps for 15 minutes. Sick. Prince relied on Morris Day's drum skills for many studio tracks for the time. And because Day was always in the pocket, it was easy for Prince to jam with him as he looked for the next song. What people don't know about Morris is that he is one of the best drummers you've ever seen, declared band member Terry Lewis, and one of the funniest cats of all time, just a natural. On the occasions like today's sessions, Prince would tap into Morris's funk and sense of humor to help unlock their next song. Cloreen Bacon Skin was an ad-lib jam that was recorded during this session. They had been up for a long time, explained future engineer Susan Rogers. The song starts and then all of a sudden Morris loses the groove and Prince turns around to see what has happened and Morris's headphones had fallen off. So you can hear at the beginning of the tape talking and laughing between the two of them, and then they went ahead and finished the song. I just want to add one thing. That's one of the things I love with this particular recording. You can hear Prince doing like, when the musicians, they just jamming and they're playing. I can imagine they're just probably in the same room together. And him like, okay, are you feeling good right there? Okay, Morris, hit that. And then Prince kind of gets into his, and And I love that. I love hearing that. There's a couple of songs that you can vaguely hear Prince in the background doing these sort of instructional things. I'm going to jump just for a quick second because we talked about it. In some of the Madhouse songs, you can really, if you really listen, you can hear Prince sort of like to call out the changes sometimes, and he'll say little things. And also sometimes you can hear him like, you can just, they feeling it. You know what I'm saying? I love that. But anyway, let me go back to where I was at here. Everything you hear is impromptu, according to the album's liner notes. No lyrics or music. Even the title was made up a split second before you hear it. This may also be the only song that he mentions his half-brother, Alfred. Alfred! I'm trying to get into the zone. It is likely that Prince still had the previous night's recording of Jungle Love in his head because he sings, "We going to go to the jungle one time" during the track. Songs like this were done in a character created by Prince and Day. The voice was often considered to be the mythical producer Jamie Starr, but when Prince took the lead vocals for a song by the time, he was channeling someone else altogether. It's funny, reminisces Rogers. When Prince would do that funny voice, that was him imitating men of his father's generation. The barbershop guys. Cloreen Bacon Skin was the same kind of voice and same kind of, "Why do you want to fuck with me? I'm too old." He was doing his dad. Yeah. Lord. Do you still want me to read more?
Yeah, well, I want you to actually, if you don't mind, jumping down to the last paragraph on page 50 here, because it's about summertime thing.
Yes. The other track recorded on this date was My Summertime Thing, which involved Jam and Lewis playing along with Prince and Day. The song includes a riff that sounds like it was inspired by Vanity Six's If a Girl Answers, Don't Hang Up. It was never a favorite of Prince's. I'm going to stop right there for a second. It was never a favorite of Prince's. That's just like boggles my mind. But I get it, I guess. And once recorded, it sat in the vault for years before its inclusion on the Times 1990 reunion album Pandemonium. Between 1983 and 1989, Prince would forget his original reaction to the track, as Rogers details. He pulled that one out 3 times, and the third time he said, can you do me? No, I'm not gonna. Can you do me? Can you do me a favor? Take a pen and write on the box, weak, and remind me if I ever ask to hear it again. Don't ever pull it out of the closet. So I wrote weak with big letters and I circled it. And it was after I left him, and I was amazed to see that he had used it on the Pandemonium album. And yep. And then so Jimmy Jam, he says, I'm just going to read his quote. "We've always loved the song. So that was one of the ones we asked Prince for." This is during the Pandemonium sessions. "We said, hey, Prince, my summertime thing, can we have that? That was our song from back in the day." And he said, "Yeah, you can have it, but I changed the words. It's called The Latest Fashion now." And we're like, no, 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 no. So that was sort of a compromise. He wanted it as The Latest Fashion because it worked in Graffiti Bridge for the scene, which was cut out of the movie anyway. But we wanted it as my summertime thing because that's what it was back when we had it. And I thank God to Jimmy Jam. If you ever see this, thank you. Because, man, I remember hearing that song for the first time on Radioscope, I think it was, if you're familiar with that. And it was before the album came out, and they played the whole album in its entirety. That was the song that I was like, that's the time. Like, I am a hardcore Time fan. And when the album first come out, I was like, okay, I hear Jimmy Jam, they doing their newer stuff. But when it got to Chocolate and to Summertime Thing, those are the ones I was like, okay, thank you. Because that was that sound from 80s that I love from them. So now I'm going to shut up.
So somebody else who loves this song is Questlove and D'Angelo, because they performed Summertime Thing at the Super Jam 2012 with the one and only Eric Leeds, and also there is no other Jesse Johnson, because Jesse Johnson is in D'Angelo's band, or at least he was at this particular time. And there are some other really amazing people in this lineup. You got Questlove on the drums. You have Pino Palladino on the bass.
Pino.
A lot of people love Pino. You have James Poyser on the keyboards, and then you had Captain Kirk, who is the guitarist for the Roots, and that's the person that Prince threw his guitar and broke it. Yeah, and then you got James, huh?
Did he ever fix it?
Did he?
I think he did, yeah.
Yeah.
He paid it
He
or
gave him
something?
money for it. Yeah, okay. Yep, and then we got James Poyser representing Philly, one of the best keyboardists ever. We got Kendra Foster. I love Kendra's voice. She's all over D'Angelo's last record. And I'm not going to read this article. So we do a lot of reading at the book club because that's what a book club is about, is reading. But I'm not going to read this particular article because it's not really about the tour. And this was actually published in the San Francisco Examiner on March 27th. But it's a really great overview for the newbies, because Michael Dean wants me to talk to the newbies a little bit more. And I think it gives a really great context of where Prince was with his side projects at that particular time. So it's a really great article in that regard. So I have it in here for those of you who want to read it. And then this is actually an ad from the Los Angeles Times that is actually promoting the Universal City, California show that will be on March 28th. So you can see special guest stars on Vanity 6, and you can see the tickets are a little bit higher than yeah, it's like $15.
That's doable.
Yeah,
that's
still
enough to
doable.
ask your parents, can I get $15? Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't even see that. Yeah, interesting.
And that says what?
Yes. Means more money, more money. For somebody, because they wasn't getting paid.
Yes, yes. So on the Universal, speaking of the Universal City stop of the tour, there's a couple things that happened that night. So we've also been looking at the set list, and the set list really doesn't change. There's usually one song that might change, but a couple things happened on the Universal City, California set, and I would love to know why. If Jill was here, maybe she would have some. But so we could be wrong, but I'm going by Prince Vault, and Prince Vault is constantly updating information as they receive it. So based on the information that we have right now, this is the first time that Prince performed Moonbeam Levels live, which is like kind of a big deal. And Moonbeam Levels would show up on the 1999 Super Deluxe box set, which we're going to talk about tomorrow in a roundtable, but also Kirsty and Mike are doing a presentation on the 1999 Super Deluxe box set later today. And then it also showed up on Prince Forever before the 1999 Super Deluxe box set with Prince Forever. But in addition to Moonbeam Levels, what I was excited about was seeing Sexuality, because Sexuality live is no joke. And I was a little pissed on the Controversy tour, and even though I wasn't like C. Lee and got to see the Controversy tour. But with all the Controversy videos that I've seen, when he would open with Sexuality, it was just a different vibe. But all of a sudden, pretty quickly, he stopped opening with Sexuality, and I was like, what? But you can see here that he, on a 1999 tour, is opening with Controversy, Less Work, Do Me Baby, which were all Controversy songs, and we've talked about this yesterday. But Sexuality is a jam, so he brought it back for some reason this date, and then he like, I don't want to put it back in the box, and he didn't play Moonbeam Levels, I don't think, anymore on the tour. So it's really, really interesting. You can see that he didn't do DMSR, and he had just done DMSR at one of the other dates we looked at in Virginia. So DMSR wasn't on this particular set list.
How do you not do DMSR? Like that's not in its heyday. That's when it was out. So that's interesting. Like he was able to like. You think maybe that was something because of the time? I would think if the time played, I gotta do DMSR because I'm like, but.
Yeah, and a crazy thing. I mean, everyone here should know this, but we want to talk to the newbies. Like when 1999 first got on CD, what was missing? DMSR.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but obviously that doesn't have anything to do with this. All right, and then I'm trying to keep time. We're doing pretty good. And so this is basically an ad from the San Diego show that's going to happen on Tuesday, March 29th. And we always like to look at not only the ticket prices, but also where they were sold. So this particular date was sold at Mad Jack Sound Centers, Second Soul Shoe Stores, First Rural Travel Stores, and the Sports Arena Ticket Office. So it seems like his ticket prices are creeping up like by $1 or so, like in different markets.
I would say probably because of the markets.
Yeah, because of the markets. And then, yes.
Hilarious.
You should.
Hilarious.
Wow. Aw. Yes. Yes. It was a wonderful time. This is another ad from the Phoenix, Arizona show, because we got Arizona in the house with Laura, so I wanted to include this. And you can see it's at the Veterans Memorial Coliseum with special guests Vanity 6 and Croats, I don't understand why, and Time, not the Time. And I love, we've been looking at these, this ad is pretty consistent, but at the beginning of the year, they didn't touch the ad. I don't know, like if Prince's camp was like, don't touch the ad. But now they've started to do all sorts of things. We got like a logo at the bottom. We got great seats available in the drum, and Evening Star presents. So it's getting a little crazy. This is my favorite ads are when they didn't feature Prince. So this is just an ad in the Phoenix, Arizona Republic that is promoting the show that's coming up on Wednesday, March 30th. But They're featuring Vanity 6, and pretty prominently, in fact. So I just love this particular ad. It's one of my favorites we've seen so far. And I am going to read a little bit of this particular article. I'm not going to read the entire thing because we don't have time for that. But
we love your reading voice.
Oh, thank you. I am going to transition to my reading voice. Yes, here we go. As he gains the attention he wants, however, one wonders whether the image will be trimmed accordingly with a wardrobe that ranges from leotards and underwear to Baroque frills and a repertoire that extends from rock and funk rhythms to soulful ballads. Prince still seems to be experimenting with image, not to mention material. Whatever his direction, this performance failed to show Prince in a very convincing light. It reflected little of the brazen sexuality with which he first gained widespread attention, and neither did it present a substantive, sometimes I don't know how to pronounce words because I'm from Alabama, but alternative. His energy was spectacular at times. Even his piercingly high voice had impact. What was lacking in this compact? They were nice. So we've been reading all of these reviews, and everybody and their mama is complaining about how short Prince's set has been. So this was like a little bit more PC. In this compact, demonstrative package in support of his current chart album, 1999, was a sense of purpose. This was something that was more evident in the preceding set by the Time. Like Vanity 6, the Time has been tagged as a Prince protege, and as such has more or less been accused of riding on his coattails. In the Time's case, this proves to be a slur. The sextet acquitted itself well with a sturdy funk beat overlaid with bluesy guitar and bouncy keyboard fills, and its set included materials such as What Time Is It and 7779311. The crowd, which I don't know, that read weird to me, like why are you putting a album with a song? But okay, the crowd, which was overwhelmingly young and black, responded enthusiastically. Now, the title of this is Funk Singer's Appearance Lacks Conviction.
Wow.
And the lead line, the co-line is the byline or whatever you call it, is energetic Prince still seems to be experimenting with image, not to mention material. And this was written by Andrew Means. And again, this is in the Arizona Republic, Phoenix, Arizona. So again, what we're finding in a lot of these reviews of the tour, they praise the Time, and they sometimes criticize Prince a lot. And poor Vanity 6. They're not even covered in this particular one. So
which might be kind of good.
Yeah,
normally
it might be kind of good. So on Thursday, the tour went to Long Beach, California. Long Beach. And I wanted to also look at the set list again, just to show you how he changed it back. So on University City, California show, March 28th, by March 31st, Sexuality was gone again. Let's Pretend We're Married was gone again. Moonbeams is gone again. And we're back basically to the Virginia set, which is pretty much what he has been doing most of the 1983 leg of the tour.
I see DMSR is back on there and stuff. You can't go to the West Coast and not do some of them songs. Those are staples. Yeah.
So let's see. I'm trying to see. So this was written by actually one of the rock critics that wrote about Prince a lot, Robert Hilburn. And it's in the Los Angeles Times. This is the reason why I included this particular article. And so I am going to not read the entire article, but I will read a little bit of it. And the name of it is Prince, Pop Preacher with the Long Reach. Okay, here we go. Where Springsteen and Wonder court your affection on stage, Prince, like the early Bowie, dares to alienate. He flaunts, flirts, mocks, and seduces. Still, there's clearly an idealism at work. Though his blend of hard-edged funk and rock exerted an intoxicating vitality in the show's peak moments, Prince's impact Monday wasn't just musical. As with the best pop rock figures, Prince reaches out to his audience on a socio-cultural level. When Prince wishes we were all made in controversy, we were all nude in controversy, he's not being simply I can't say it. He's saying a prayer, in effect, for a world free of the need for uniforms, titles, boundaries, and other forms of separation. Rather than put his message into traditional love is the answer terms, however, Prince is a realist who weaves his thoughts into a lively, liberating, party time spirit that cynics as well as idealists can embrace. One of the signs of success in this unity campaign was the audience itself. For all the advances rock made in the 50s in bringing white and black fans together, pop has been distressingly segregated in recent years. Indeed, Prince and other black artists gets virtually no airplay on traditional rock stations. Until recently, he was best known among rock fans locally as the guy who got booed at the opening of the Rolling Stones' 1981 Coliseum show. But Prince has battled back, establishing such critical credibility in his dirty mind through 1999 albums that he now picks up airplay on adventurous rock stations and even the MTV cable channel. He has become such an undeniable presence in rock that he's scheduled to be on the cover of Rolling Stone next month with Vanity, even though he refused to grant the magazine an interview. The result Monday was as close to racial parity as I recall at a local concert. The amphitheater evening opened with a 20-minute set by Vanity Six, the three sultry women whose careers were launched by Prince. They share his almost parodic, I don't know if that's correct, but emphasis on sex and his fondness for volume so assaultive that you can feel the bass notes bounce off your chest. Now, what's interesting about them, Robert commenting on the volume, that comes up in a lot of these reviews, and a lot of them actually say that, I don't know if it was specifically Prince's set, but that it was just too loud. So I often wondered, like, was it Prince's camp or was it the actual venue? I don't know, but this actually keeps coming up in all of these reviews. Dressed in your basic Fredericks of Hollywood fantasy wear. Hopefully some of you guys know what Fredericks of Hollywood is. The singers offered pop's most uninhibited display of aggressive female sexuality in pop since Tina Turner. This keeps coming up. And the group's best numbers, including the playfully erotic Nasty Girl, have a sly, good-natured zest. But the group was unable in its brief appearance to settle the question of whether it has more to offer than surface flash. Prince, however, demonstrated quickly that he has gained considerable confidence and authority on stage since his highly acclaimed, though sometimes raggedy, Santa Monica Civic Auditorium concert early last year.
Not raggedy.
Yeah.
Damn.
He said ragged. I added the D to it, but he said ragged. Yep. Same thing. And then let me see.
Sound like something a family member was dress you down.
Yes. So I can't remember. Yeah. So that's what Robert has to say, and there's more to the article, but like always, we don't have time for that. All right. So on Friday, we have the show at the Oakland Alameda. Is that correct? Oh, basically Oakland, California. And on Prince Vault, let's look at that set list. It's pretty much staying the same. So that Universal City, California show, I want to know, did somebody go to that show? We want to hear about it. We would love for you to come on. I'm talking about you. We want you to come on to What Did Prince Do This Week to specifically talk about the Universal City, California show and what it was it like to hear sexuality in a 1999 set. Did it still have the explosive quality that it did in the Controversy tour? And then also, what was it like hearing Moonbeam levels for the first time ever? And was it like, what is this? Or was this like, yay? So we want to know. So if you're out there and you want to come on, or if you don't want to come on, I can talk to you privately and you can share some stuff. We would really appreciate it. All right, so we're next to some more reading. And again, I want to read this one. I won't try to read the whole thing. I've been trying not to read the whole thing. So this is from the Berkeley Gazette, and the name of the article is Life a Little is Taboo for Soul Rocker Prince by Robert Blades. And yeah, we're in the right place. Prince presents a curious mix of images through his music and his public profile, and they all seem to be working in his favor. His 2 shows at the Oakland Coliseum, April 1st and 3rd, with Vanity 6, sold out nearly overnight. This is before Purple Rain. Nearly overnight. That's 30,000 tickets.
Wow.
Yes, and his current LP and single, both entitled 1999, are solidly enshrined at the top of the charts. At 22, Prince is the youngest artist ever given total control of his records by his label. We all know that. Yeah. Yes.
He sold those tickets like that because what did young lady say yesterday? He was black famous.
That's right. All right, so that's all I'm going to read on that one because we're trying to get through these articles. And then this is another article that's from the Oakland Tribune, Oakland, California, by Larry Kelp. And the name of the article is Prince Crowns His Music with Flash. And let's talk about it. So not only was it one of the fastest sellouts of the year, but Prince, I got to get in my reading voice, sorry about that. But Prince fulfilled everything he only hinted at in a nearly identical stage production a year ago at the San Francisco Civic. The difference isn't just that he finally has a record that even white rock stations will play. Little Red Corvette, I can't sing. After 3 years of being relegated to black radio airplay, but also that his mastery of the stage is finally equal to his recording studio wizardry. Now, I'm really interested. That was really interesting that he brought this up. Controversy is, I didn't see the Controversy tour, but it's a near and dear show to me. But when I was younger and I would watch the Controversy show, it's so raw. And it made me realize that Prince actually didn't come out of the womb like the most amazing performer ever. Like, he actually had to work at it. And so for the longest, when I would look at Controversy, I was like, that's not Love Sexy. Because, Love Sexy, he had everything down. It was like immaculate. And once I got past that, oh, he's a human being, and he had it to grow and all of that. Yeah. And then that's when I started really loving the Controversy tour. So it's really interesting that they talk about his growth as a live performer in this particular article. Prince is now the most important pop star to emerge in the 80s. Only Rick James has challenged him. Rick James doesn't get enough respect. And nearly everything to hit the soul charts in the past year has been a copy of their funk rock innovations. Friday's concert was so grandly conceived and executed, from lighting, we talked a lot about the lighting yesterday, to Prince's orgiastic, I guess I got that right, choreography and larger-than-life band, that it was easily one of the best and most entertaining musicals, rock, soul, pop, or other, to hit the Coliseum in some years.
Nice. Wow.
Yes. For slightly more than an hour, that's that time dig again, the 20-year-old singer, 23-year-old singer, guitarist, keyboardist, gymnast, tried and usually succeeded in being all things to all people. The suggestive parts of the songs were toned down from the records with just enough titillation on Do Me Baby and International Lover to keep the predominantly young and black crowd screaming for more. Most of the time he did splits and pirouetted faster than a speeding bullet, led his band in an oral assault more powerful than a fleet of Amtrak locomotives, and leapt from 12-foot tall speaker cabinets in a single bound. Let me repeat that one more time. Leapt from 12-foot tall speaker cabinets in a single bound. That was something to see. That was something to see. And I saw it, and I'm glad. And so if Darlene Nieces calls me Little Miss, I was there. Yeah, I was there. It was an amazing thing. It was as if he knew last year's show was only okay. I don't know about that. And was determined to be James Brown, a flamenco dancer, Shirley Caesar, and a one-man AC/DC.
Okay.
His voice was magnificent, ranging from deep and funky to pure gospel falsetto. What has worked so well on his albums also made his stage show exciting, a too-fast-to-follow switch from sexual to spiritual, from party lifestyle to political consciousness. He hasn't spelled it out yet, but even the casual listener can determine there's more to Prince's message than the title of one of his catchiest songs, Dance, Music, Sex, Romance. I'm talking about you, Zach, if you're still here. Amid the exploding music, billowing fog, and blinding white light finale of 1999, Prince queried in a child's voice, "Mommy, why does everybody have the bomb?" It would be hard to imagine even the most athletic performer giving out more energy than Prince did in those 10 tunes, but he still failed to include many of his best-known songs from the Dirty Mind and Controversy albums. What would have been more fitting than the title tune, which includes the entire Lord's Prayer at concerts given on Good Friday and Easter Sunday? Concentrating on the amazing two-disc 1999 album, Less Work got the crowd's adrenaline pumping. Little Red Corvette was delivered as a pop anthem that bounced between joy and melancholy. One record, Prince plays nearly all the instruments and sings most of the vocals. On stage, the same band he's had since he left Minneapolis more than duplicates the recorded sound. It provides the vibrance he bounces off. The very young, racially and sexually mixed crew included keyboardist Lisa Coleman and Matt Fink, guitarist Des Dickerson, bassist Mark Brown, and drummer Bobby Rivkin. Jill Jones aided on background vocals. What made this an even better treat were the two opening acts, both discovered, produced, and recorded by Prince, and both with hits as big as his, the three-woman Vanity 6 and The Time. In fact, The Times 7779311, I'm talking to you, Declan, was a bigger hit last year than Prince's records. Led by singer Morris Day, the seven-man Time delivered a fast but theatrical 45-minute set with plenty of zoot suits, Karen, and such classy grooming that they could fit on a photo spread in Gentleman's Quarterly. There were perfectly timed details. The band members chewed gum and mopped their brows in time to the music, and some humorous bits a la Cab Calloway and Louis Jordan. So I need to be school. I don't know who Louis Jordan is. Can somebody? Jazz musician. Thank you. Day played up his love affair with himself constantly, running his hands through his processed hairdo. There you go. At one point, a band member played his valet. We know, Jerome. We love you, Jerome, if you're watching or watch this at any time, brushing his shoulders and holding up a fancy mirror for Day to glance into. Now I want to talk to you about one of my favorite subjects, Day deadpanned. Me! The music was less varied than Prince's, but top of the line, especially on the walk. If rock stars use half as many entertaining ideas as The Time does, arena shows would be far more enjoyable.
That's a mic drop.
That's a mic drop, yes. Vanity 6 opened with a 20-minute set, just enough to tease, but not enough to determine whether they can do anything else. The three women looked a bit too young to drink, but knew how to strut about in their Fredericks of Hollywood. Everyone is citing Fredericks of Hollywood underwear, snapping their garter belts and singing about being nasty girls. That was a great article.
It
and
was.
Again, it was by Larry Kelp, Kelp, in the Oakland Tribune And it was from April 4th, 1983, and it was about the April 1st show.
Question.
Yes.
Was he saying that Controversy wasn't performed or that it was short?
He was talking about it wasn't Controversy. It was another song.
Well, okay, then go back. I don't want you to long.
Yeah, it wasn't, but it was another song.
Okay.
All right. So on Saturday, are we done on time? Okay. On Saturday, the tour went to Fresno, California. And let's look at that set list again. So, in the 1982 leg of the tour, Prince would break out, got a broken heart again sometime. So, for whatever reason,
love it.
he brought it back out for the Fresno show. So, I mean, I think it would probably be hard to ask anyone in the band, like, why did Prince switch these songs out? But I would be really curious to know, like, did the song pop in his head, or like, did someone ask him to do it? I doubt he would do it just based on someone asking him, but I thought it was really curious. And then at this particular, the Oakland show, the Fresno show, what's really interesting about it is that he does not do International Lover nor 1999, which is wild. Very, very wild. So I'm talking to you. If anybody went to the Fresno, California show on April 2nd, 1983, we want to hear from you, and we would love to have you come on.
I wonder, would it possibly have been a time thing in terms of they're running too long, maybe, for the show, possibly? But.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So speaking of which, I went to go see Jill Scott on Monday at NJPAC. And she tweeted, and I'm assuming she was talking about NJPAC, that there was a 17,000 per minute fine if you went over 17,000 per minute. So obviously that's a lot of money now, but I'm sure whatever it was back then was still a lot of money back then. So that's a possibility.
I might not love the fans that much. I was like, I love y'all, but goddamn.
Yes, but Prince was notorious for going over the queue many times. So he paid that price, I'm sure, a lot. And this is just another article, another ad, which was in the Fresno, California weekend section. We've already been talking about this, but obviously this is a controversy picture promoting the 1999 album. I'll just leave it at that. And then the tickets are $11.50 in advance and $12.50 the day of the show. And okay.
Oh yeah.
So my summertime thing, we already talked about that. Oh my God, are we on time?
Right on time.
Oh my geez. Okay, this is a record. So let's talk about what Prince has done so far, and maybe we can get some to the comments that you left on Menti, hopefully. So what did Prince do so far in 1983? So at this point in 1983, Prince has done 46 live shows. So we're almost at we're in April now, but we're in April in 1983. So at the end of March, 46 live shows since the beginning of the year. So January through March, 46 live shows, 1 after show, and then 12 in that after show was in Minneapolis, and then 12 studio visits. And the reason why is in the asterisk. If you read Duane's books, he puts an asterisk when we aren't exactly sure. So this is like as of today kind of thing. This is what we think. But in Prince land, there's always something more to discover. And so far in 1983, Prince has tracked 8 songs while he has done 46 live shows in 3 months. And for those of you who want to know what those songs are, since you might not have been with us during this journey, January is Electric Intercourse. Again, Duane was like, somewhere in January maybe, because there's an asterisk, Wonderful Ass. Then we got Katrina's Paper Dolls in March, Strange Relationship in March,
Ooh.
Jungle Love in March, an untitled instrumental, I really want to know what that is, Chlorine Bacon Skin, My Summertime Thing.
Bangers.
Yes. So we have a little time. We got 5 minutes, actually. And let me see if I can do the switcheroo and see if we got any comments or anything. And Michael Dean, take it away. Is there something you want to talk about?
Well, see, what had happened was during this time period, we're just going to roll with the things. Does anybody here have any comments or questions? You could shout them out. Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
And so, oh, thank you. And so that is who the lens of Prince's career over that time period is viewed through.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be really interesting to me to see, in terms of black media, how he was covered. So what were the black newspapers saying, like the Amsterdam News, Chicago Defender, the Philadelphia Tribune, and also, I guess, 83, we would be in Right On territory in terms of the prevailing black music magazine. Now, of course, they weren't daily or weekly, so they probably weren't doing reviews, but it would be really interesting just to see what the coverage was from that perspective, because a lot of what we think about Prince is viewed through that very narrow lens. And I found it interesting because when he passed, Essence Magazine put out a special edition, and they had a lot of memories from all of it was from black women, and the whole perspective was so different. I mean, it wasn't reviews, it was people talking about various experiences with him and interviews and all of that. So in looking at his career now, that's what I think about, that everything that we knew was really through the prism of, similar to what it used to be in sports. But in the last couple of decades, or last decade or so, you have many more black men, black women who are reporting and criticizing and talking about athletes who, at least in the NBA and the NFL, are mostly black. So just that prism is interesting. And interestingly enough, that was the 80s, but still to this day at major newspapers, which arguably have a lot less influence than they did in that era, it's still the case for the most part that the major rock critics are white males.
Absolutely. I think we even talked about this on a previous
we did
thing of our podcast, but I'm right there with you because to me, growing up reading those magazines, I started to see it was kind of influencing how I was thinking about some of Prince's work. And when I started to think about it, I'm like, but what did they listen to? To how are they able to critique and speak on it if they don't even listen to that type of music? And then, you would hear about, well, Prince is going in why he's not doing more rock or this. I'm like, I get that, but this is what he started with. You know what I'm saying? Like, Prince does all this type of music. I feel like the people who sort of want to create or critique his work, if they're going to critique the music and stuff, first thing I always say, well, what do you listen to when you don't listen to Prince? And then I'll listen to you critique his hip hop or his jazz or whatever it is. But if you just listen to one style of music and then you mad because he not doing that this particular time, I click away or turn the page. But I'm right there with you with that. Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, he was our hero, so we're going to celebrate the brother, you know what I'm saying? That was those magazines were, he's coming to be celebrated. We celebrating our people in them books, which I wish we still had that type of thing today. And just a real quick thought, but it's good because of events like this, the podcast, all the people that do this stuff here. Now we can frame the narrative on Prince. You know what I'm saying? And we don't have to wait for them to do it. We can be out here speaking. So I love it. We in the right place.
Yeah.
I also want to say Sister P raised a good She does raise a good point about source material. Because a lot of time, though we know the most available source material are going to be like white-on source materials because they have the money to archive themselves better, those of us who consider ourselves serious scholars have to ask that question about what was black media doing and take the extra effort to find black media source materials. Because I know when I was writing my book, they weren't there. I was like, I had to go to microfiche and had to squint real hard to see if some of y'all remember. So I'm glad she brought that up because we don't, because the most available. And I think, who is it? Is it Ebony that just had all the archives? Yeah, the photography archives is now sold by somebody else. It's controlled by somebody else. Wait. It's public. Right. Oh, I'm sorry.
A photo that was from the wrong era in newspapers. What often happens, particularly if you are, and this is maybe on a tangent, but if you are in the African American media, there's kind of a monopoly on images. Mm-hmm. So Getty Images owns probably 75% of the images that you see in any digital site or anything like that. And Getty is pretty expensive. So a lot of African American media, if they're not shooting the photography themselves, most websites are using a photo agency. And so it's really important that the Ebony archives are public domain, which means anybody can use them free of charge. So that's a really significant thing, and it's a lot of images. And before that happened, there was a lot of speculation about what might happen if it wasn't going to be public domain. But they are. I don't know if they are available for use right now, but that's the plan at some point.
Right, that was the point, that they didn't have the finances to upkeep them. So I didn't know they'd gone to public domain. And then to your point, writing an article about this, I published an article about the weekly series in the LA Wave. And to your point, LA Wave could not have a picture for 1983 because they couldn't afford to pay for a picture from 1983. So the article about what did Prince do today, 1983, they had to use a 2007 image, because that's the only one they could afford. So, yeah, that speaks to your point of why it's important that they're going to be in public domain.